What's going on, everyone? Today I'm going to be going over the best prospects in each weight division. And as you can see here, for flyweight, we have Joshua Van and Tatsuro Taira. I think both of these guys are going to be top 10 one day. Taira, he has very good grappling, and his striking is still developing. So I think he'll make it very far. And Joshua Van, extremely well-rounded, great boxer. He has some of the best body shots at flyweight. Um, his hooks to the body are great. His boxing is amazing. Everything about Joshua Van's skill set is really good. I think he will go on to be a top five fighter one day, if not to challenge for the title, because he's very young. He's only going to keep getting better. Same thing with Taira. I wouldn't be surprised if these guys end up fighting each other for a belt one day. Um, yeah, both of these guys very good. I could see them beating guys in the top 10. I'm a little more confident in Joshua Van because I think his striking is already up there with the best, and his grappling will keep developing as well as his striking. And I think Taylor's striking is still a little bit iffy. I know he got a knockout in his last fight, um, so that shows that there are a lot of improvements being made. But I think Joshua Van is just a little bit better overall. And yeah, these guys are both very good. I can't wait to see what they can do in the future. I think these guys, along with guys like Steve Urseg, are definitely the future of the division. Um, Urseg, I don't have him on here because he's getting a fucking title shot. He's not really a prospect anymore. I think that I think a lot of people are underrating his chances at beating Pantoja. I really could see him beating Pantoja, man. I might pick him just for the fun of it, just because you know how I look. I'm picking Steve Ursig. It's fun, and if I get it right, I look like a genius. And I also think there are definitely ways for Ursig to win. Um, yeah, he's not on this list. These guys are, but we'll move on to bantamweight. So bantamweight, I have Payton Talbott and Marcus McGee. Marcus McGee has been looking like a fucking beast in all of his fights. He's got amazing striking, amazing grappling. He's got a lot of power. Just looks like a scary dude to fight. I mean, look at him, dude. He's actually a really nice guy. But I think McGee will definitely end up top five. The only concern I have is his age. I know he's pretty old. Um, Peyton Talbot though is not old, and I wouldn't mind seeing these guys fight each other next, but I'd like to wait a little bit until they're both, more established because we need to stop killing off our contenders. Um, like with Talbot and Simon, if they both didn't fight each other, then we could have built them both up and they could have fought later. But now we already saw what happened when they fought now. Um, but Talbot, he's like a Terminator. He just walks you down. He marches you down. Um, there's not much you can do about it because he hits very hard. And his takedown defense is getting better. His ground game is good. It looked like he doubled in skill, honestly, from his last fight to now, because he's very young too. Yeah, and his fight before the Simon fight, he was, getting muscled around a little bit, getting out grappled. In this fight, there was not a single moment where he was losing. He completely beat the shit out of Simon, and that is extremely impressive. I think Simon is the best fighter he's ever fought, and he butchered him. I think this guy can become a future champion. He has that composure. Like when you watch guys like Ilia Topuria fight, when he was, not as far along in his UFC career as he is now, people were saying, "Oh, this guy's going to be a champion. He's so calm. Look at how composed he is in all of his fights, and look how good Topuria is." Talbot has that. He is very calm. He rarely makes mistakes. He's improving rapidly. He's very powerful. He's got all the tools to become a UFC champion, and I think he'll make the most of it. I really think he will become a champion one day. Honestly, I think he'd beat Dominic Cruz right now. I think he'd beat Munoz. I think he could beat a lot of guys in the rankings. I think he'd beat Batista. Um, To be honest, I could see him giving Cheeto a tough fight, but I don't want to go that far yet because Cheeto is still a very high-ranked guy, but Talbot is really, really good. Um, and it's not like he's gonna stay the same skill level because he's so young. Every fight, he's gonna keep getting better and better and better. Like in his next fight, he'll be here. The fight after that, he'll be here. In, 4 fights, he'll be up here. Like he's really good, and he's gonna keep getting better. It's scary. Everything about Talbot just screams future contender to me. But I'll move on to featherweights. Anderson Brito, fucking beast. Um, he's an extremely powerful guy. He's got great grappling. All these guys, powerful, great grappling, scary to fight. Brito is just a fucking savage. I think as well as like Talbot, I think Brito could go on to become a champion. A lot of these guys are so good and they're young, they just keep improving. Um, Brito, very well-rounded skill set. I mean, he's a fucking killer. There's not a whole lot to say. Um, Diego Lopez, he he's like a featherweight Charles Oliveira with his grappling. It's crazy. He's gonna find a submission on you if you're not extremely careful. He was this close to submitting Movsar Evloev, and look at Evloev. He might get the title shot next. And Diego Lopez took him to a close decision. And Lopez in his last fight with Pat Sabatini, he fucking mogged him. He beat the shit out of him on the feet, so he's got a lot of power too. Um, if he beats Sadiq Yusuf, which I think he will, it's a dangerous fight though. I could see Yusuf catching him and knocking him out, just how the styles match up. Diego Lopez is a little sloppy on the feet, but I trust that he's gonna, rein that in a little bit, enough to be able to beat Yusuf. I think he could chin him. I think he could take him down and submit him. Edson Barboza, I think he had a submission in on Yusuf after he knocked him down. I think Lopez, very scary guy. He's gonna be top 5 one day. Um, I mean, nearly beating Mavzar Evloev in your debut, that's as impressive as it gets. Hard to get more impressive than that in a debut. I mean, he's an extremely good fighter, and I can't wait to see where both of these guys end up. Maybe they'll rematch one day for the belt. They're both fucking savages. But we move on. Lightweight, Mike Davis and Mateusz Rebecki. So Mike Davis, some of you guys might be like, why is Mike Davis on this list? Um, I know he's been in the UFC for a while, but he's been taking long breaks. He's only had, I think, 4 fights. Um, he's a fucking killer. His boxing is amazing. He's got great Muay Thai, great kicks. Very good wrestler, good control on the ground. He will find a submission on you. Mike Davis is a very well-rounded fighter. I think he could break into the top 10 pretty easy. I think he could beat a guy like Drew Dober. I think he'd beat Patty. I think he'd beat. I could see him beating Frivola. I'm not gonna go as far as to say he could beat Dan Hooker yet, but give it a couple years. I think, maybe one or two more fights. I definitely think Mike Davis will break into the top 10, depending on how long he sits out. Now, I don't want him to keep, sitting out for a year and a half because I think he's got a lot of potential, and I want to see him fight, a lot. Because I'm a big fan of Mike Davis. He's a fucking killer. But Mateusz Rebecki, he's really good too. He's been making light work of his opponents. He just submitted Roosevelt Roberts with an armbar. Um, Rebecki he's looking like he can be a very special fighter. Um, Amazing on the feet, amazing grappling. He's got a lot of power. Very dangerous guy. You have to be perfect to survive with him. Um, Another one of these guys where it looks like they just keep getting better and better. I'm excited to see where Rebecki ends up too. Both of these guys, very good fighters. Like all these guys in this video, I think, they're the future of the division. I think they're future top five guys, maybe even title contenders. I think they'll be around for a while. But Rybechki, I think he's very good. I think he could be in the top 10 right now. I think he beat guys in the top 10. Um, Amazing fighter. But we're gonna move on to welterweight. Welterweight is, a little. It's not as good as the last couple divisions we went over. Um, Michael Morales, he's good, but he's a little boring. There's a little bit to be desired when he's fighting. Um, I could see him beating some top 15 guys. I think he beats Neil Magny. Same thing with Brian Battle. He looked very good in his last fight until the eye poke. Um, both of these guys, there's some room for improvement, but they're both looking very good. I think they could beat ranked fighters. I think Brian Battle would beat Renat Fakhretdinov in a rematch, even though he lost the first fight. I think he's improving a lot from fight to fight. He went from getting dropped by AJ Fletcher in round one to, making light work of Angelusa for the time that fight lasted. He's looking very good. Morales, he's looking pretty good. But this division, it's a little more boring than the other ones. I think welterweight is a pretty boring division. There's not as many, up and coming guys, but I do see both of these guys breaking into the, top 10. I could see Battle getting into the top 5 one day, in a couple years. Same thing with Morales. But yeah, we'll see. I was gonna put Nicholas Dalby on here, but I don't know about Dalby, man. He's good, but let me see how old he is. Just give me 1 second. Yeah, Nicholas Dalby's 39. He's not a prospect. That's why I didn't put him on here. I knew he was pretty old, but that's the reason why he's not on here. I can't put Bonfim on here. I can't put um fucking Mike Mallet on here. All these guys are, losing now, which is unfortunate. But both these guys, I have pretty high hopes. I have high hopes for these guys. Middleweights, Hernandez, some people might not call him a prospect because he is ranked in the top 15, but I don't think he's beat a ranked fighter yet, and I think he could become a future champion. I think he gives everybody in the division problems. Same thing with Michel Pereira. I think Pereira would beat Brendan Allen right now. I think if they made that fight, he would smoke Brendan Allen in round one. He was all right at welterweight. At middleweight, he's a whole different fucking beast. He goes out there, it's like he's trying to assassinate you. It was a scary performance he had in his last fight. It looked like he wanted to fucking kill the guy. And Mikhail Oleksiejczuk is not an easy guy to do that to. Hernandez, he just went out there and beat the shit out of Kopylov, who a lot of people thought could be a top five guy, future champion. Um, Hernandez is fucking scary. The pace he pushes is insane. He's a fantastic fighter. I do think he'd give everybody ranked above him problems. And, you know, let's I'm gonna pull up the rankings. I'm gonna tell you guys who I think he beats. Um, Spoiler alert, it's a lot of people that I think he beats. So give me 1 minute. We're gonna go to UFC.com. I should have had this, prepared before I started recording, but I didn't think about that. All right, here we are, middleweight. So Hernandez is ranked number 12. I think he'd beat Hamza. I think he would survive round one. I think he'd take over. If it was a 5 rounder, Hamzat is in for a tough fucking night. He'd lose that, in my opinion. Nobody can convince me otherwise unless I see Hamzat beat him. Um, Dolidze, I think he would beat him, but it's always scary when you're fighting Dolidze and you're mainly a grappler because he just, 1 second you're fine, boom, he's got you in some wacky fucking submission out of nowhere. He's like Paul Craig. It's fucking nuts. Delidze, I think he would beat Delidze. That's a scary fight. I think he beats Hermanson. I think he beats Imavov. I think Costa would probably beat him, but Hernandez's pace could be an issue if Costa doesn't finish him. In a 5 rounder at least, I think Costa would win by decision. In a 3 rounder, I think he'd win the first two because his takedown defense is so good and his striking is better than Hernandez. Um, I think Hernandez, I think he could beat Brendan Allen. I think that's like a 50-50 because Allen is a wizard on the ground and I think his striking is a little bit better. But Hernandez's pace, like I'm gonna start thinking 5 rounders because I think Hernandez is at a point where he's gonna be getting some 5 rounders pretty soon, whether it's fight night main events or maybe, maybe in one or two more fights, like a 5 round co-main. Um, maybe not a co-main. It depends on who he fights. But in a 3 rounder, I think Allen beats him. In a 5 rounder, I think Hernandez would beat Allen. I think he beats Vettori regardless. I think Cannonier does beat him. I think Whitaker beats him. I think Adesanya beats him. But that fight is fucking close. I could see him choking Izzy out in like round three. And I think Sean Strickland beats him easily. But yeah, I just named several guys in the top 10 that Hernandez, I think, would beat. I'm very high on this guy. I don't think he'd beat Dricus, also. I think Dricus would beat him. But yeah, this guy, Hernandez, is a fucking beast. Michel Pereira, I mean, I still want to see him get out of the first round at middleweight and see if his cardio's good. Because he's been, toning all the crazy shit down. He's been toning it down. I think if he does that, he will be able to start, going into round two, going into round three, still looking good. But in the first round, he's a fucking nightmare to fight. He's like a Tasmanian devil. He just like comes at you and he doesn't stop and beats the shit out of you. But yeah, both of these guys are very good. I have high hopes for them. Light heavyweight looking pretty grim. Vitor Petrino, and I have Zhang Ming Yang because I literally couldn't think of anybody else. I don't think Bogdan Guskov is a prospect that I'm too high on. Zhang Ming Yang, he looked good in his last fight, got an early KO, impressive performance over a pretty good opponent. Petrino let me down a little bit in the fight with Tyson Pedro, but he still beat him. I think he's gonna knock out Anthony Smith, so I think he will get into the top 10. I could see him getting into the top 5 one day. I don't think either of these guys is gonna win a belt. I'm not too sure on Zhang Mingyang, but I just put him here because I mean, who else is there? Maybe Carlos Olberg, but I'm not too high on Olberg. But we'll see. Light heavyweight, not looking good right now, but maybe I should have put Olberg on here, but I think Zhang Mingyang looked pretty damn good in his last fight. Um, Considering the guy he was fighting, pretty pretty fucking tough. But let me look something up here. I want to look at his record, before the UFC. So, he beat Brenson Ribeiro. Yeah, I mean, he's got a good record. So many fucking KOs, but um I don't know. We'll see where he ends up. I think he could do pretty good. But heavyweight, let me know. You guys take a guess. Let me know, who do you guys think heavyweight is going to be? You think, maybe Mick Parkin, maybe, Chris Barnett? Who are we thinking for heavyweight? No, it's fucking obviously. I don't even need to tell you. This guy, if you're not top 5, you're probably getting knocked out by him. That's just the way it goes. This guy, um he's a genetic freak. He's a specimen. He's, I mean, like a once in a lifetime kind of heavyweight, like in terms of physical attributes and skill. We'll see. Maybe he'll get taken down and beaten by Waldo Cortez Acosta, but I fucking doubt it. Yeah, obviously, Robelis Despaigne. Who else was it gonna be? But yeah, I'll talk to y'all later. Let me know what you think about the best prospects in each division. Give me some other names that you guys might have put on the list. I'll see y'all later.